Jai Saparika Sri Sri Guru Gaurachandra Ju Ki Jai. Jai Shri Giraj Govardhan Ju Ki Jai. Oh, very pretty garland. Very pretty. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahansa Padi Brajakacharya Astatir Sata Shri Sriman Srila Bhakti Sundar Govindade Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahansa Padi Brajakacharya Astatir Sata Shri Sriman Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahansa Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai. And Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. We are today all over the world, the who's who of the world are celebrating the disappearance day of Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur and Sri Giridhar Pandit. Same day of disappearance, which is very deeply significant, but very mysterious. Srila Guru Maharaj says that constantly, and Gurudev is, all of them are explaining, Srila Saraswati Thakur and Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada, also that the pastimes of Mahaprabhu are eternal. And sometimes they're manifest and sometimes they're unmanifest. And these pastimes, and Navadvip Dham is also eternal. So these things are mysterious, excuse me. But sometimes we can understand them a little bit. Sometimes they're manifest. And sometimes there's great personalities who are the eternal Parshad of Mahaprabhu. They are also sometimes manifest, sometimes not manifest. So two of the great followers of Mahaprabhu, they're eternal and exalted beyond conception, are Sri Giridhar Pandit and Sri Swarup Damodar. And Sri Swarup Damodar appeared again as Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. And Sri Giridhar Pandit appeared again as Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And these are very, very deep things. And so, we as young and practitioner devotees, we don't elaborate on that so much because we're not so super qualified. But these things are there. And great personalities can reappear and influence the world. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur practically again relit the fire of the teachings of Mahaprabhu. Srila Guru Maharaj explains that, it was as though after so many years, almost 400 years after Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu disappeared, it was like the luminaries became less and less visible. The sky became cloudy, and it was not easy to perceive what Mahaprabhu had given. The birthplace of Mahaprabhu had been lost. Nobody knew about it, except for a few. There were a few who were adoring this place in Mayapur as being the birthplace of Mahaprabhu. But it was not clear and not manifest. And what to speak of the teachings of Mahaprabhu, which are very fine, but also very simple. So, truth is a simple thing. It is non-truth that is complicated. But truth is a very simple thing for the simple heart to perceive. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur cleared the sky of all the clouds of misconception, and those luminaries again became manifest. The great Parshad of Mahaprabhu all again were being discussed in the world, and even by us in the Western world. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur wanted that and predicted that. He said this exclusivity of the Varnashram, within Varnashram of the Brahminical class, this has nothing to do with actual spiritual life. This is a socio-religious distinction. But anyone, any soul, can find his connection with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and worship Radha and Krishna in that line. This is for everyone. It doesn't make any difference whatsoever what kind of birth you have, or what kind of lineage you're born in. But you will be able to worship Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he predicted that that would happen. Are you there? He predicted that this would happen, and of course it did happen. And he also prayed for a great ray to come from that high divine plane, which is the plane of Mahaprabhu, that highest of highest, worshipable by the highest plane of Mahaprabhu's pastime, that a ray would come of the associates on that plane to re-manifest worldwide these perfect, unsullied, unadulterated, perfect jewels of the teachings of Mahaprabhu. And of course, that was done in the form of his divine son, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who spread this perfect conclusions, Siddhanta, all over the world through his divine followers, and specifically his divine grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who in old age came to the West with the box, the jewel box of these hidden conclusions, and spread them everywhere like seeds, and they're still being spread. And Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj also, who is very intimate friend of Srila Prabhupada, and intimate in the highest sense, and who is always giving advice to Srila Prabhupada, who took shelter of him as his Shiksha Guru. And then of course the descendant of Srila Sridhar Maharaj is Srila Bhakti Sundar Govindadev Goswami Maharaj. And he also carried all those jewels fully in his completely pure and qualified heart. Those jewels cannot sit anywhere, but they sat within his divine heart. And he also spread this in his own divine way. So this is all extremely astonishing. But Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was born in an aristocratic family, and he was educated very highly, and he was very well known for his scholarship and his good qualities. He was very dignified and highly compassionate person. And he could debate with anyone. And when he came to that service for which he for which he appeared in this world, when that service really manifested, he could debate with anyone and establish the pure conclusions of Mahaprabhu, which at that time, in that area, of course, Mahaprabhu was known in that area because that's where he appeared, but he was not, the misunderstandings were about who Mahaprabhu was and what his teachings were, was rampant. There were so many nonsense things which are being spoken of as being representative of Srila Saraswati Thakur's teachings. But he cleared all that up, all the Sahajism, all the Mayavad nonsense. He wrote so many books, an unbelievable number of books. And yet he felt, he expressed many, in some of his teachings and some of his writings and songs and poetry, that he felt that he had not done what he came to do. Of course, that's the natural feeling we hear in all of the Vaishnavas. But significantly, he glorified the position of Kurukshetra and the mood of Kurukshetra. And he wanted to actually disappear in Kurukshetra as being the place of the most extreme contribution in service. That when Srimati Radharani and the Braja Gopis and all of the inhabitants of Vrindavan, but specifically those divine personalities, met with Krishna, but it was in Kurukshetra. Excuse me. It wasn't in Vrindavan, so it's a very, very intense kind of situation where the paraphernalia, the divine atmosphere of Vrindavan, which is so conducive to the intimate pastimes of Krishna with the inhabitants of Vrindavan, that atmosphere is also the divine manifestation, which is part of that Leela. And it is very exclusive, the atmosphere of Vrindavan. And even the Vetasi, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, all Radha Kunda Tata Kunda, all these beautiful, wonderful things, which are the paraphernalia, or you can say the atmosphere of the pastimes of the Lord, are extremely dear to those divine devotees of the Lord who are the inhabitants of Vrindavan. So when they met with Krishna in Kurukshetra, it was so close. He was there, they were there, but the atmosphere of Vrindavan was not there. So it is very like a crucial kind of situation. And Srila Guru Maharaj compared it to when the ball comes very close to the goal but it doesn't go in. This is very intense, a very intense situation. And so Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur wanted to render some service at that in Kurukshetra, in that pastime, to give something there in that pastime. And that would be necessary, giving what is necessary. But these are very high things, of course. But still, he did speak about these things. And tomorrow is the Gundicha Marjana, where all the temples are, cleansed inside and out. And then the next day, Rath Yatra, and that Rath Yatra following those pastimes of Kurukshetra. If we look deeply into these matters through the words of our Guru Varga, to understand that is the glorious return of the Braja Gopis, with Krishna shining in the hearts like the sun and returning to Vrindavan. These are high things, no doubt, and I keep saying that, but we're hearing this, and it is purifying for us to hear these things. These are all wondrous things, wondrous pastimes. And our great Guru Varga, they're speaking about these things to give us some prospect of such a beautiful manifestation of extreme devotion and surrender. Extreme devotion. And giving us some insight into Sharanagati, which is, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote so many beautiful songs about Sharanagati. And chiefly what we are singing every morning, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jive Doya Kori, Saparshara Sri Adama Saha Avatari. And we're singing that. This is about the 6 limbs of surrender. And it's super, super important for us to hear the lectures of Guru Maharaj and Srila Gurudev and the writings of Srila Saraswati Thakur and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur on the subject of Sharanagati. We really need to be diligent in understanding these things. It's very sweet and beautiful. Srila Gurudev said that when he came to the mat, Srila Gurudev is saying that Srila Guru Maharaj ordered him, you memorize these songs of Sharanagati. And he memorized them very fast. I can't remember, within a week or something, 2 weeks maybe. I don't remember, but very, very quickly he memorized the entire book, Sharanagati. And he said the feelings that he had were like a young boy suddenly, falling in love for the first time. He said those feelings were so sweet to read these pastimes of, to read this poetry of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So we're not looking so much for the result of that, because we don't know what that really is, but we are practicing Sharanagati in our lives and trying to please Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada. We're trying to please them by practicing Sharanagati. They want us to do that, and especially Guru Maharaj has very much elaborated in detail in many, many places what that means for us to do our duty. To do our duty as it's coming to us, to make an offering of our lives, to offer that, of course, under the guidance of Guru and Gauranga. And in our daily lives, maybe Gurudev is not, our Gurudev has not telling us what to do in our daily lives, so we have to make some judgment. And make that an offering. Make that an offering. And offer it to the infinite. Offer it to the Lord. It may be so insignificant, and we are insignificant, but everything that we do must be an offering. Not that this is my junk life and this is my nice life over here in the temple. Never. We want all of it to be for the Lord. And offering sincerely, and let Him mold it in His own way. As I've repeated this many times, but it is a beautiful thing. This is a very beautiful conception. We have some value. We have not ascertained perfectly what that value is. But we have some value to the Lord. Otherwise, what are we doing here? How can it be that the Lord has rescued us in this way if we have no value? We do have, and He's searching for us, and it gives Him great joy to see that we are searching for Him. This is the nature of love, and reality and love are synonymous. So we are offering now what we have. Like a little child may find a little rock somewhere. It has no value really, but she or he may bring it into the house and give it to his mother or his father. And then, oh, oh, this is nice. And they really love that that child gave them that little rock. And they may keep it on in their house for a long time, because it is very valuable on the heart level. So we are coming to the plane of the heart. And out of this plane of so much nonsense, mental deceit. And that is the plane of Krishna consciousness. And Trinadapi Sunichena Tarodavasahishnuna Amanina Manadena. These are the things by which we can measure our lives. How am I doing with that? There's big guidelines for our lives. How is that going? How is the environment coming to remove anything which is not that from my heart? The whole animation is so merciful and affectionate. So we're going on in this, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he very much stressed Sharanagati. And we are trying, again, to please him by taking the results of what we have offered to be the very thing which is my necessity at this moment. Whether it is pleasing to my mental system or not pleasing to my mental system. Not pleasing is really the big one, because we really know, this is poking me somewhere where I have a problem. Like the doctor, does this hurt? Does that hurt? Does that hurt? He's trying to ascertain the problem. And it's where it hurts, that's where it's showing. So where it is disturbing to me, this is the place where I must bow down. This is the place of my bhajan. This is the place of my sadhana. My sadhana is surrender. And I'm bowing down to the place which is being activated through the environment and saying, yes, this is good for me, my Lord. Let me be patient and see what you are trying to show me. And in no time, something will be shown that this needs to be. Now I'm showing you what is truth, and you will see how you were seeing something in a way that was not truth. Quickly. Guru Maharaj said this is the shortcut. So when we read this beautiful, so many prayers of Sharanagati, so many, but we'll think, well, what do I do in my daily life? How is this sadhana? But it is the essence of sadhana, and Guru Maharaj has shown us how to practice this very beautifully, powerfully, inconceivable. It's too much to believe how powerful and wonderful is this process. So we're trying to do this without pride, in the mood of humility, and knowing that my guardian will remove all those nasty things from my heart. So I'm not afraid. We will not be afraid, but we'll go on knowing I have my guardian. And what I do wrong, he will correct me. And I mentioned this the other day, but Srila Gurudev said that to me once in a certain circumstance when I was trying to do something for him, but I was feeling nervous. And in front of him, I was trying to do something that was difficult. And he's better at it than I am, but I'm doing it. I mean, he knows the answer, but he wants me to find the answer. Something like that. I was just, I don't know. Anyway, I was feeling a little nervous. And he said, I was never afraid to do wrong. In other words, to make a mistake in front of Guru Maharaj, because he will correct me. So why will I be afraid? He will correct me. And I thought about that this long time ago. And I thought about this many, many times in certain circumstances. That we have our guardian now. We're not little orphans, little urchins living in the side of the road with no guardian, just trying to figure out how to make myself survive. This is not our situation anymore. So if I do wrong, I know that I'm not in danger. I mean, of course, we do wrong doesn't mean going out and exposing ourselves to those six qualities which destroy devotion. That will be dangerous in the sense that it is going to make me forget my guardian. Those things are, for us practitioners, those are really, so we have our guardian, but to leave my guardian, that is, that cannot be recommended. But when I'm trying to serve my guardian and I do something wrong, I make a mistake, he's going to correct me. He's not hateful and he's not vindictive. But I have this little problem called free will. And I can run away from my guardian. He's not losing track of me, but I can definitely lose track of him. So that's not what was meant there, but that I am trying to do something and I'm going to make a mistake. But even my mistakes, who cares if a little child is making a mistake when they're doing something? Nobody's going to be angry with them. So we're, anyway, trying to practice and understand the principle of Sharanagati chiefly. And Guru Maharaj is telling us, true, and Srila Gurudev many places. I've written down so many places and others also, where Gurudev is saying that Sharanagati is the essence of everything that we do. It is the life of the devotee. Bhakatera prana. Shikaya Sharanagati Bhakatera prana. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is writing. So anyhow, we're just little and we're new and we're just trying to understand beautiful, beautiful things. And trying to dance, as Guru Maharaj says, dance in the wave of divine will. Dance in the wave of divine will. It is so beautiful. In that current, we are going to be dancing. And that is our chief idea. And there are many, many stories of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that, we can tell he was he was very influential person on every kind of conceivable level. And his job in Puri, after some time he was in Puri, and he was taking care that everything was done properly in the Puri temple, and also around that, in that whole area. And he was the magistrate, and took care that in Puri there were no wrong things going on. I don't mean necessarily in the temple itself, but I mean in that whole, it's a Jagannath Puri, the whole city is centered on Jagannath, and everything has to be done properly in the service of Jagannath. So he was in charge of that. And there was there are many, many, many stories about the powerful nature of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and he did many, many things there. But he finally wanted to move to Mayapur. And he did go to Mayapur with his big family. He had 11 children. And lived there and discovered the place of the appearance of Mahaprabhu, but in a very miraculous way, seeing a great light there, and there was a wind, a breeze would come in the early morning, early before sunrise. A breeze would always come. He would be chanting at the top of his lungs on the roof of his house, or somewhere there. He would be chanting very loudly in the morning time. One of his neighbors would talk about that. He could hear Bhaktivinoda shouting like he's calling someone, with so much urgency, who was at a great distance, just shouting the holy name of the Lord. And he would feel a breeze coming by him at the time when Mangalarti would go on. And then he dreamed of this great light and so many wonderful things. And anyway, he started to, and there was, that place became the Yoga Pit. And that was the appearance place of Mahaprabhu, and he established worship there. And that had been a great mound it was like a mound, like a little hill covered with tulsi, and the local people would say this was some haunted or something because nothing would grow there except tulsi. And but there was a group of persons who worshipped that place, who had great reverence for that place. It had been something in their families, some kind of understanding, although very private, and most people didn't know anything about it. But there were some who said this is where Mahaprabhu was born, and they had great reverence for that place. And then Bhaktivinoda Thakur, because he was a very important person, he had access to so many government papers, and he looked through those, and there found confirmation there that this indeed was the appearance place of Mahaprabhu. Now everyone, millions of people coming to worship at that place yearly from all over the world, just as he predicted. And for those who have not gone yet on Navadvip Dham Parikrama, we do go to the home of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. We see the room of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and the room of Srila Saraswati Thakur, and where he, studied, and so many things. There were so many wonderful things. Anyways, there are many articles. If you go to the Mott website, the scsmott.com, you can put in a search there for Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and you will find, no doubt, many articles from past publications, and online too today. Of course, there will be many speaking on the glories of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and we can fill our day in that way. And then tonight, here is Bhagavad Gita class every Wednesday night. But tonight it will be, no doubt, glorification of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and along with a nice offering for Mahaprabhu and Sri Giriraj and Mahaprasadam feast. So, and of course Sri Gadadhar Pandit, this is his divine disappearance day also. Hare Krishna. All right. And so, here's Gaur Gadadhar was, the deities of Gaur Gadadhar are there also, worshipped by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. it is very high pastimes. And Sri Gadadhar Pandit is known as being Srimati Radharani herself. Srimati Radharani gave her heart and her halo, her divine golden, this is so, it is only hers. This divine golden quality, and you could say halo, of Srimati Radharani. This is exclusively hers. This is not to be compared to anything else. You know, one person may have some gold and then another person may have some gold or something like that. No, this is her exclusive effulgence and complexion. And she gave that to Krishna. She gave her heart but she's still there. It's not that she's now not anywhere. She's still there, and she is Gadadhar Pandit. So Gadadhar Pandit's wonderful quality in nature. She's always following Mahaprabhu. Gadadhar Pandit, he is always following Mahaprabhu. Very mild, very sweet-natured and humble, and completely dedicated to Mahaprabhu and giving some relief to Mahaprabhu. Because Mahaprabhu is now in this eternal Lila, Krishna is experiencing what it is to be the supreme devotee of himself. So just as Radharani is always searching for Krishna in separation, union and separation, so Mahaprabhu is always searching for himself, searching for Krishna in that mood. These are really high topics. But Gadadhar Pandit is also there and giving so much loving, intense, and exclusive assistance in the pastimes of Mahaprabhu. And of course, so many excerpts, so many things are there written about Sri Gadadhar Pandit in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Hari Bol. So we're worshipping our great-grandfather. It is great-great-grandfather. So we are disciples of Srila Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada and Srila Gurudev. We are disciples of those three and Gurudev's disciples, and then the disciples of Gurudev's disciple. And so there's now many, many generations of devotees, and it's all so wonderful. And we should not think of Bhaktivinoda Thakur as simply being one, like an ancestor in the ordinary sense. That person does not, in ordinary ancestral lines, it's not that the ancestor knows about their great-great-grandchild or great-great-great-grandchild or something like that. They don't even, there's no actual conscious connection there. That person who was our ancestor, we don't even know where they are now or who they are or what they think they are or anything. But this ancestral line, this line is conscious. And we should not think that they do not know us or that they cannot give their grace to us. We can certainly pray to them as being their very beloved child, great-grandchild or great-great-grandchild, and they wish us so much well, so much good fortune. We can't conceive of it. So we will pray to them, and especially in times when we feel weakness or some challenge of our past tendencies coming to demand payment, knocking on the door. Boom, boom. And that payment can also come in the form of a tendency to do those things again. That's part of karma. So we will take shelter of our great gurus, especially our own present guru. And he is always offering our prayers upward. But we can bow down to them. They are not strangers to us. They are our great and affectionate guardians. We can't conceive of how beautiful is their guardianship, the depth of that, the depth of their good wishes for us is so much. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is, so high that we will feel a little shy. But in a deeper way, they're very intimately connected with us. Jai Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur Tir Bhav Mahamahotsav Ki Jai. Jai Srila Sri Gadadhar Pandit Tir Bhav Mahamahotsav Ki Jai. Gadadhar Pandit. I'll just tell that one story. We all know this story already, but it's really such a wonderful story. Gadadhar Pandit knew Mahaprabhu from childhood and was always so devoted and dedicated, great devotee. And when they were in Puri, oh no, it wasn't Puri. So anyway, this was not in Puri, this was in Mayapur. And so there was, in those days, those who had enough wealth, they would tend to build a house. They may have their ordinary house, but they will also tend to build a house on the Ganges River. If they could do that, they would do that. So one such person was Pundarik Vidyanidhi, and he was very, very wealthy, extreme wealthy. And he had a beautiful house on the Ganga. And one day Mukunda said to Gadadhar Pandit, "Would you like to see a Vaishnava?" And of course, Gadadhar Pandit, yes, of course, I want to see a Vaishnava. So they went to the home of Pundarik Vidyanidhi, and Vidyanidhi, Pundarik Vidyanidhi, excuse me, was there in his home. And they went in, and there was Pundarik Vidyanidhi relaxing on a very, very valuable couch. He's smoking a hookah, a water, like a water pipe kind of thing. And his hair is very curly and has expensive perfumed oils, and he's wearing very elaborately beautiful, costly clothing, and jewels and earrings, and he's surrounded, maid servants, and fanning him, and big vats, big beautiful vases, urns full of fragrant oils. So everything was so opulent. And Sri Mukunda and Gadadhar Pandit came in to see, and there he was, and Gadadhar Pandit's mind was like, who is that? Who is that? Is this a Vaishnava? He's like a Bishai, really looks like a big sense enjoyer. This turban with so many jewels and vermilion, not vermilion, kajal on his eyes and smoking. So in his heart, he's like, why did Mukunda bring me here? what is this? And then Mukunda, he understood the feelings of Gadadhar Pandit, and he began to sing one song. Mukunda's singing was divine, of a very sweet and transcendental nature. And he began to sing, Aho Bakiyang Stanakala Kutam Jigangshya Paya Yarasya Sadvi. And this is a Kangva Dayalu Sharanam Bharjema. It's the third line. Jigangshya Paya. Tatonyang Kangva Dayalu Sharanam Bharjema. He's saying, that song means that Baki, the sister of Bakasura, that Putana, she came to kill Krishna. She was so deceitful. She came as a beautiful goddess, but she had put so much poison on her breast, and she came like she wanted to give milk to Krishna like a mother. And of course the Mother Yashoda and all the other Braja gopis, they were very, you've come to give your blessings to our baby, our child Krishna. And they allowed her to do it, but Krishna was more clever than she, and he sucked out her very life. And of course the poison had no effect on her. She really was a witch. And she returned to her hideous form, huge and hideous form of a witch. And but she died. And then of course the Braja gopis and the inhabitants of Vrindavan, Nanda Maharaj and the cowherd boys, all heard her screaming, and she fell on the earth, boom, and she just hideous. And Krishna's sitting there on her chest, little boy, and they took him and bathed him and gave him so much nourishment. But she, because of Krishna's nature, she had offered her breast milk to him. And so she attained the position of one of the mothers of Krishna in Goloka. She was fully purified. And when they chopped up her body to burn it, because they didn't want, because the witch can re-enter that body. So they didn't want that to happen. So they burned her body, but it smelled like the most wonderful incense. And so Mukunda is singing this song. I'm forgetting the first part of the third line. Tatonyang, anyway. She became like a nursemaid in Goloka. And then Kangva Dayalung Sharanam Brajema. Who else? What other sweet Lord would I take shelter of than Krishna? And when Pundarik Vijayanidhi heard this song, he went mad, tearing off his turban and breaking his jewelry and tearing his clothes and knocking over these urns of oil and falling on the ground, weeping, Kangva Dayalum, Kangva Dayalum. Who else is so gentle? Who else is so gentle? And when Gadadhar Pandit saw that reaction to hearing this song in Pundarik Vijayanidhi, he thought, in my mind I made a great offense to this devotee, to this great devotee. And the only way that I will be able to counteract this offense is by taking shelter of him as guru. And so when he went back to Mahaprabhu, Gadadhar Pandit told this incident and said, I want to take Pundarik Vijayanidhi as my guru. And Mahaprabhu said, this is very good. It is very good. And we know that Pundarik Vijayanidhi is Vrishabhanu Raj, who appeared in the pastimes of Mahaprabhu. Vrishabhanu Raj being the father of Radharani, and who has appeared in the pastimes of Mahaprabhu as Pundarik Vijayanidhi. And of course, Nanda Maharaj is the king of the cowherds. What are his pastimes? We don't know. So extraordinary, so wondrous. And the Supreme, Eternal, Infinite is, carrying Nanda Maharaj's shoes on his head and giving them to him and pleasing him so much and playing in the courtyard. The infinite reality. So Vrishabhanu Raj came as, I switched over to Nanda Maharaj, but Vrishabhanu Raj is also a king, the father of Srimati Radharani at Parshana, and also very opulent, and who knows their divine pastimes? We can't imagine. But we got a glimpse, and he's there. But their hearts are just melted with love. So, this is one pastime of Sri Gadadhar Pandit. And before that, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to call up, Bap Pundarik, Bap Pundarik, in the mood of Radharani. Bap means father. Oh, Father Pundarik, oh, Father Pundarik. Calling out for Pundarik Vijayanidhi in his heart. So this is such a beautiful pastime. And again, as we've been reading in Upadesamrita, again we come to these beautiful verses that we cannot understand always. The behavior and nature of a Vaishnava. But we must understand that just like the Ganga, maybe externally to our eyes, I'm going to read this verse. This is really, these verses of Upadesamrita, they're just coming again on like a flash, coming in so many circumstances in our minds. We're reminded about these verses now. Drishte sabhava janite vapushascha doshe na prakritatvam miha bhakta janasya pasyat. Pasyat means to see. Bhakti janasya, in the great devotees, iha there, and na prakritatvam. Don't see something prakriti, like mundane. Don't see that. Don't see that. This is not mundane. So again, Gangam basam na kalu, buddhapena pankar. Kalu means time. Kala means time. At any time. Na kalu. Gangam basam, the water of the Ganga. Buddha, the bubbles and the pena, the foam, and pankar means mud. Don't think that this Brahma Dravatvam, this divine spiritual water, apagachati, loses that, nira dharma. This is the nature of water, but it's that quality of Brahma, that divine quality of spirit, that is never lost to the Ganga. The Ganges water, that divine current is never affected by that. So again, in this example, and so many examples, one after another, we're seeing this. That their pastime, they can be doing anything. They can be smoking bidis and selling fish. It will be glorious. We won't want it to end. There'll be no end of the glorification of their activities. It will be wondrous. It doesn't have anything to do with their quality of divinity. It will all be wonderful, whatever it is. So we are very much becoming more and more aware of this divine fact. Oh, but they come sometimes as the Thakur, meaning they're coming as the Acharya, and then they're following some rules that in order to show how we can conduct our lives in our gradual progress. But in their hearts, they're free. They have no wrong in them. They don't have to follow anything. But, Srila Sanatana Goswami was worshipping Madan Mohan in a tree. He kept him in a tree. He didn't have any money. He wasn't even hardly begging. Whatever would come to him, that's what came. Sometimes he had a little flour, and he would mix it with water and throw it into a fire. You have these little burnt little breads with no salt. But Madan Mohan, living in the tree, saying, "A little salt, Sanatana." And then Srila Sanatana Goswami saying, "My Lord, how will I don't have salt. There is no salt here." And then a barge of salt runs ashore, gets stuck. A barge of salt, a whole boat full of salt from the ocean is going up the Jamuna River, and it runs aground. And Srila Sanatana, of course, runs out to help out, and then gets with this divine advice, that boat comes back into the water, and they give as a gift a big mound of salt. And then Sanatana Goswami said, "Oh, I see." He says to his Lord, to the deity, "Oh, I see. You want me to have some salt. You are receiving so many offerings of so many wonderful things in all these temples, 64 offerings in Jagannath Puri. You're receiving so many offerings. Why are you asking me for salt? You know I don't have any salt." He said, "Oh, I see. You want me to have some salt in my bread." So, not that, these divine pastimes of these great devotees, we really cannot understand. And sometimes when we see them breaking the rules, it is giving great joy to our hearts. We really feel, oh, it's so lovely, it's so wonderful to see that. But they are trying to teach us through their example, but they're not restricted by the same rules, because we are, we have to gradually work our way out of this mundane world. And these things that we've been told to do, they're very important for our progress. And we are not going to neglect them. But as Guru Maharaj says, but at the same time, you have to understand this. In the plane of surrender, these rules are not going to necessarily be at play. So we are following them. We have been told to follow them. But in the plane of surrender, we have to understand that anything and everything can happen. They are dancing in the waves of divine will. And Krishna has no rules at all. He loves breaking rules. He's making the rules, and as Gurudev said, the one who's making the rules is breaking the rules. Anyhow, we're trying to please them by doing what is good for us. And what is in the 6 limbs of surrender given by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, what is favorable, Guru Maharaj says, what is favorable at one time will be hatefully rejected at another time. Meaning not time, but in progress. That thing would be like, what is that? That has nothing to do with devotion. But that will be later. But at the time when it is necessary, then it is part of devotion in the sense that it is helping us toward devotion. But these are the 6 limbs of surrender. So if we only are taking them to be independent of surrender, then we have not understood their value or their purpose. So both of these things have to be there. So, Jai, Sri Sharanagati ki Jai, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki Jai, Sri Tirabhav Maha Mahotsav ki Jai, Sri Gadadhar Pandit ki Jai. Hari Bol. Oh, hey Prabhu, can you see if there's any comment?
Yeah, just 1 second.
But I know you're busy. Very difficult for the cook. Now, Haridev Prabhu is cooking for Mahaprabhu this morning. Anyway, we can chant Hari Haraya. Do you have any minute?
Yeah. Give me 1 minute.
Yeah. Anyway, I can't see the screen, so I used to be able to, but then I was backwards. And Madhusudana Maharaj was really very patiently reminding me from time to time that everything is backwards on your screen. Mahaprabhu's wrong arm is up and everything is mirror image. So can you please correct that sometime? And now by Haridev Prabhu's endeavor, we're able to do that.
Vima Krishna Prabhu said, I also read Gurudev saying, when we try to do something we don't have the experience with, we try our very best and the result is up to Krishna.
Jai, wow, that's so beautiful. Hari Bol.
Then Kumkum Didi says Dandavat, dear friends. Divya Shakti says Dandavat. And Ganga Lila Didi says Dandavat with a yellow heart.
Dandavat, 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 Dandavat. Prabhu, can you give me this blue drum and please, if you can, you have a young brain, you have to remind me to bring the morning, to get to do this. I always forget. Hari Raya Nama Krishna Raya Nama Radhaya Madhvaya Keshaya Nama Gopa Govinda Ram Shrimati Radha Saparika Sri Sri Guru Gaur Chandra Ju Ki Jai. And especially remembering today Sri Gadadhar Pandit Ki Jai. Jai Saparika Sri Sri Guru Sri Giriraj Govardhan Ju Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Padi Pajakacharya Stutir Sri Sriman Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Excuse me. Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Padi Pajakacharya Astutir Sri Sriman Srila Bhakti Rakha Sri Dardev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Sri Rupa Duka Guru Varga Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribrajakacharya Astatara Siti Sri Sriman Srila Satchidananda Bhaktivinoda Thakur Ki Jai. Sri Tirbab Mahamahotsav Ki Jai. Hari Bol Jai. Sri Narottam Shamananda Srinivas Thakur Prabhu Ki Jai. Sad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Saparshad Sriman Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Saparshad Sri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopagopna Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Jai Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Shri Yoga Pit Ki Jai. Hari Bol. And all the wonderful, oh, so many things. I didn't say so many things about Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Guru Dham, Granthi Dham, Guru Dham, Dham. I didn't say all of these wonderful prayers. And also, so many things will be said today all over the world. And of course, Srila Guru Maharaj giving that wonderful poem in separation of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and how much it pleased Srila Saraswati Thakur. We're running out of time now, but how much that pleased Srila Saraswati Thakur. And he said, now I know at least one man can carry on, has gotten what I came to give, has understood me, has understood the depth and depth and depth and depth and perfect depth of what I've come to give. And he didn't say it like that. I said, what is that to get? That is astonishing wonder. And he's saying about Guru Maharaj, because he wrote this wonderful poem. Anyway, tonight we're going to have more classes and more about the beautiful day, and we will go through all of the other things that we, some of them, of course, glory to Thakur or Gadadhar Pandit, and we're not going to be able to really describe fully a drop of that ocean, but there are many, many things. Guru Dham, Granthi Dham, Guru Dham, Dham, Dham. I'm feeling very silly right now. I can't remember the last part of that. Oh my gosh. No, I forget it. Anyway, not too bad for me. There's so many prayers we can look for. And this prayer that Srila Guru Maharaj King post here is here. Haha Bhaktivinoda Thakur Guru. No, here, I'll just read it really quick. Haha Bhaktivinoda Thakur Guru Dravami Dva Vim Satis Te Sama Dirga Duka Bharad Ashesha Virahad Dusti Krita Buryam Jivanam Bahu Janma Punya Nivaha Kristo Mahimandale Avirbhava Kripa Chakracha Bhavam Shri Gaura Shakti Swayam. Alas, alas, O Bhaktivinoda Thakur, O Supreme Guru, for 22 years the world has been plunged into misfortune, long grief-stricken in your intolerable separation. You are the divine potency of Sri Guru, Sri Gaura, and you graciously made your advent in this earthly plane, being attracted by the living beings' virtuous deeds performed through many lifetimes. Now, pleased Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur very, very much. So, oh, and now we're seeing. Okay. Haribol. Look here. Anyway, my brain is not working, so I can't remember that whole. I know it very well. Gurdam. Oh, forget it. I'll remember it later. And I know you all remember it. All right, Jai. Dandavat. Prabhu, I think what the class is over now. I'll have to sit here mumbling for another hour.
Will you please mumble for another 20 minutes?
No. All right.
I'll be there in a second.
All right. I can actually do it.
Wait, Didi, I have a question.
Yeah, you have a question?
So that opulent guy that was smoking, with opulent garments and servants, was he a Vaishnava?
What?
The opulent guy of the story that was smoking with servants, with fancy clothes, was he actually a Vaishnava?
Oh, you missed a lot of that. Yes, of course he was. He is Vrishabhanu Raj. Yes, Pandamik Vijaniti. Didi, can you maybe stop the class on there? Gudam Grantadam.
Dandavat.